All right, well, welcome to video number 4 in this series. In this one, we're going to take it up a notch and look at that next sort of logical step when utilizing outdoor education in your life. We talked a little bit about how the outdoors, nature, the environment, can be an extension of your classroom, but now I want to discuss how it can be a portion or a component within your lesson or your curriculum. Now, this takes a lot more foresight, a lot more planning, a lot more better understanding of your school resources and your personal materials. And this part might involve the purchasing of items that you can utilize outside of your classroom space, stuff that might need to be a little more durable, stuff that might need to be replaced more frequently, and stuff that sort of broadens your scope and utilizes the materials that you've identified and the places you've identified in your observations of the school grounds. Now, some things to keep in mind here. Students need to be aware ahead of time that this is part of the process. If they are being expected to utilize outdoor space as part of your curriculum, then it's always a good idea to remind them, hey, tomorrow we're going to be outside, wear good shoes, wear a hat, bring sunscreen, bring water, things like that. Communication with your school, with your students, with your community is valuable, and I can't stress that enough. One thing that might be useful in this regard, if you can incorporate service as part of your class, community service that happens on your school grounds, then this is a great opportunity to get your students out of the classroom and do some work on campus that helps the school community, helps another teacher, helps an organization on your campus, and still reinforces concepts discussed in your class. For me, someone who teaches environmental science, I've taken upon myself to be sort of the recycling maven for my school, and I've passed on that designation to another person now who's been instrumental in that process. But I taught environmental science. We didn't have a robust recycling program on our campus, so I took that upon myself, get students outside, get students asking questions, they're participating in the process, and it was a really valuable experience. Now, once again, I cannot stress enough how important collaboration can be in these moments. Now, I am somewhat of a hypocrite in this regard because as much as I love collaborating with other teachers in my department and beyond, it's really difficult to do, especially if your school doesn't allocate a lot of time and prioritize cross-curricular collaboration. Sure, within a department, maybe even across grade levels, but it's really difficult to find that time with another human. That doesn't necessarily mean that collaboration has to happen with another human at the same time on the same subject. You can reinforce the work of others. You can work with a math teacher and a science teacher can work together. A history teacher and an English teacher can work together. I've worked with film teachers. I've worked with culinary teachers. I've worked with math teachers. And many of these things happen outside of the classroom. So I highly recommend that you try to find time. Try to find those like-minded individuals on your campus that are interested in participating in something outdoors, in something that is corollary to what they're doing. And, cultivate that time, utilize that time, and ensure that, it becomes part of your normal planning process. Once again, this might mean taking a walk with a group of teachers and looking for that inspiration, looking for ways that you can work with one another, finding time during collaboration, during staff meetings, during prep periods if necessary, to work with someone who shares your interests, who likes being outdoors, who is another one who has begun taking the steps of utilizing those spaces. There's always room for writing. There's always room for reading. If you're in math, measure everything, make observations, do some statistical analysis, look at human behavior and make predictions. Work with another department if you want to reinforce a certain type of skill, a certain type of behavior. There's ample opportunity, especially when you find people and identify people on your campus that have similar passions and are both interested in taking that next step of taking your class outside. Now, one more thing I'll say about utilizing the outdoors as a learning space is you want to make sure your kids have a chance to be bored. You want to give them a chance to be present in their space, give them a chance to sort of contemplate and internalize their experiences and really be introspective. That can be challenging. That can look like they're doing nothing, but it's actually, in my opinion, a really important part of the learning process, and especially the outdoor learning process. We are so in tuned to our screens and our sort of social interactions that we neglect the environment that sort of has been our home for most of human history. And rebuilding those relationships, rebuilding that familiarity with the natural world, retraining your eyes to see what is truly around you beyond a couple feet from your face, that's really important. And I want to make sure you provide students with that time. You'd be surprised at what types of questions can be asked, what types of observations can be made, and what you can learn from your students if you allow for those moments. This is the end of this video on utilizing the outdoor learning space as a component of your curriculum, as a component of your lesson. The next video will be sort of that next step, moving beyond your school and actually utilizing the greater community of your school and the city as a resource for learning outside of your classroom, whether that's just outdoors or just looking outside. There's a lot that can happen in the community that can help your students, expand their space that they learn your content to beyond your four walls, to beyond your school, and into the greater world where they can be reinforced with knowledge on a nearly continuous basis. So stay tuned for that one, and thanks for sitting with me on this one.